Hello, ghosties. You're listening to Not My Ghost.
Not My Problem. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jen.
Whether you're a skeptic, a true believer, or somewhere in between, join us for a journey into the unknown.
Because remember, when it comes to the paranormal, it may not be our problem.
But it's certainly someone's problem.
Thank you, Kelly, for buying me my standing desk.
You're welcome.
I love it so much. I just finished setting everything up, and it's perfect and amazing, and I love it.
I have one too, and I wanted to make sure that I knew it was good before I sent you one. So I got mine, and I had my husband put it together.
Yeah, I had to put all mine together all by myself, which sucked.
And I loved it. So I thought, I know you had been talking about wanting one so you could get your steps in and everything during the day. And yeah. I think that you are important enough to get your steps in and stay alive and healthy. So,
oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. I had been just using my kitchen counter, and it's nice. I'm in the midst of still cleaning off the kitchen counter from my work stuff, but it'll be nice to have my kitchen counter back.
Yeah. I'm sure it will be.
This one's amazing because you can set like the heights that you like. So all you have to do is press a button to stand and to sit. So throughout the workday, I have like goals for myself that I like to meet throughout the day. And I just check my step count, and I strap my Apple Watch to my ankle because it more accurately counts my steps that way, especially when my hand's like typing or on the mouse. And then I just push it to stand, and it just whoops right on up.
Yeah. The other day, I have a cat bed on my desk because, I mean, why fight it? My desk is in front of the window and the cats are going to be here.
Except when we're recording, the cat is banned.
Well, right. The cat's not allowed in the room when we're recording. Honestly, if it was Icarus, it would be fine. He would just stay there and sleep.
Yeah.
But Icarus was curled up in it the other day, and I came into the room and I didn't realize he was in here. And I was playing with the adjustments on the desk, and it was like going up and down. And I looked over, and he's just looking at me like, what is happening?
I like that I yell at you for that one time that your cat made noise on the mic while we were recording, when literally every episode Ellie makes noise.
And I never yell at you.
Well, you also aren't the one that has to edit.
True.
And there's nothing I can do with Ellie. Ellie... like if I put her in my bedroom, or I locked her in another room, in my 1-bedroom apartment, she would just bark the whole time, which would be louder. So,
well, I kind of run into that a little bit with the cats too, because if they want in a room and the door is closed, because they watch us turn the doorknob, they will go on their back legs and they will wiggle the doorknob to the room they want to get into.
Smart.
So I kind of have to play it, a little safe with that. Or else they'll drive us completely nuts.
Yeah, I think they're okay if they're in the room. They just can't be on your lap. I think that one time the one was on your lap, and that made a lot of noise. It was like rubbing its head against the microphone as you were talking.
He did it once. He rubbed his head against it once. He's just loud on my lap because he was rubbing against me, and I'm right in front of the microphone.
Yes. Welcome to our scripted, unscripted banter, where we go off on standing desk and cats.
Do you care about my cats, people? I don't know if you do, but I love them.
Yeah.
They're my babies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Y'all know that for like the first 5 to 10 minutes, we have this talk. So you can skip forward if you don't want to hear it.
I guess you could in theory. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Please don't, because we're entertaining, but you can.
I don't know how entertaining that conversation was, to be quite honest, but a lot of times we are.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's a hit or miss.
Right. I do have a question for you.
Okay.
If you could snap your fingers and instantly speak another language, what would it be and why?
Oh,
I'm of two minds of this question. I have two different answers.
Okay. You answer first.
Okay. If I'm going based on just what language I would just think it was cool to speak, I would do Italian because, well, the largest part of my ancestry is from England and Ireland and Scotland, and I already speak English. And the second largest chunk is Italy.
Okay.
So I think it would be cool to be able to go to Italy and speak the language.
Yeah.
And I would feel like that would make me want to go there more often. But if I was being practical and I wanted to make money for my family, I would speak Farsi.
The fuck is that?
It's like Middle Eastern, like Arabic kind of language.
Oh, okay.
And you can make a lot of money being an interpreter for the government if you speak that.
Okay. I would have to say, I'm going to answer kind of the same way as you. Practical, I would just say Spanish because I feel like, we're in the US and there's a lot of people here that speak Spanish, and it would be nice to be able to communicate with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would probably be my first practical choice. If I had to go on just like fun, I would say sign language because I've already learned a lot of sign language, but I haven't practiced it in a while. So I forgot a lot, and I would just love to be fluent. And as far as making money too, you can make money as an interpreter as well. Yeah. But like I said, I took a bunch of it in high school and college, and I haven't practiced it in years. So
they offered sign language as a language to you in high school?
Yeah.
Oh, I really wish they would have done that.
Yeah, it was fairly new. We had a teacher there that knew it, and she just started teaching it. And it was actually my 10th and 11th grade year that it started being offered. And as soon as I found out it was offered, I was like, yeah. It wasn't in place of Spanish, so I still had to take Spanish.
Oh, you had to take Spanish? Or you had to take a language?
Well, yeah, sorry. I had to take a language.
Okay.
Yeah, I took Intro to Spanish in 7th grade, and then I took Spanish 1 in 8th grade, and then Spanish. So by the time I got to high school, I only needed one more credit, but sign language was just an elective. But they did offer it in college, and because I was an education major from UMBC, they didn't offer the sign language at UMBC, but the community college in Anne Arundel County did. So I already had taken 2 years when I got my AA degree. So my 4-year college sent me back and said I could do one more year and that would count as my language credit.
Oh.
Which was nice.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't practice it, so I'm very rusty. I know I should. I don't have anyone to practice with.
I have a friend whose sister is deaf, and her sister is considering moving here. And she asked me if I would be willing to learn sign language because her sister doesn't like to hang out with any of her hearing friends because, they
don't know sign language.
Right. So I was like, are you going to teach me sign language? And she was like, yeah. I was like, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, if you start learning, then I'll practice with you and you can kind of reteach me.
I remember you were really good at it.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. Again, I took 3 semesters of it in college. So got pretty decent.
Do we want to know what we're talking about today? I mean, and they know because they clicked on the episode. So they already know. But do you want me to pretend like nobody knows and introduce it? Okay, awesome.
Please do.
All right. Some objects are just things, ordinary, harmless, forgotten over time. But others carry something more. A presence, a weight, a warning. Imagine buying a simple antique, a wooden wine cabinet, nothing out of the ordinary, but the moment you bring it home, strange things start happening. Your lights flicker, unseen hands push you in the dark. You wake up gasping from nightmares of shadowy figures watching you. And then the sickness begins.
Oh, no.
This is the legend of the Dybbuk Box, one of the most infamous haunted objects in the world. Said to be a vessel for a malevolent spirit from Jewish folklore. This mysterious artifact has left a trail of illness, misfortune, and terror in its wake, affecting everyone who comes near it. From its first known owner, who suffered a stroke after receiving it, to its latest resting place inside Zak Bagans' haunted museum, where even visitors refuse to step in the same room. The Dybbuk Box has become a modern-day horror story. that continues to spread its curse. But is it truly haunted? Or is it just an elaborate hoax fueled by fear, superstition, and the power of belief? Tonight, we unravel the mystery, the history, and the horror surrounding the Dybbuk Box. Buckle up, because once you open this story, there's no turning back.
So I have been in the room with the Dybbuk Box.
Did it?
In the room with the Dybbuk Box.
Did it affect your life in a negative way?
No, but it's kept in a glass case that protects viewers. It's only when you take it out of the glass case that it could hurt you.
Okay.
But there were some people on the tour that refused to go in that room because they were so scared of it.
That's interesting. Before we get into the Dybbuk Box.
That sounds like a song. Dybbuk Box.
I want my Dybbuk Box. The chilies. Dybbuk back ribs. Okay. Before we get into the Dybbuk Box, I have some facts.
Okay.
About Jewish customs.
Ooh.
The braided bread eaten on Shabbat and the holidays, known as challah bread, has deep symbolic meaning. The 3 braid design can represent truth, peace, and justice, while 2 loaves on the table recall the double portion of manna given to the Israelites in the desert.
Oh, okay.
At Jewish weddings, the groom breaks a glass under his foot, symbolizing the destruction of the ancient temple in Jerusalem and reminding everyone to balance joy with reflection.
I love that tradition.
I thought it was pretty cool.
I am not Jewish, but I would like to break something at my wedding. I just think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
To break something.
Sure. Ex-boyfriend's heart, maybe?
Already done that.
Yiddish, a language spoken by Ashkenazi Jews, contributed fun words to the English language, like schmooze, which means to chat in a friendly way, klutz, a clumsy person, and chutzpah, which means boldness or audacity.
Do you know where I learned most of my Jewish words from? The Nanny.
The Nanny. Okay. The show, The Nanny. I haven't seen that in years and years and years.
I don't see the reruns on TV. I don't really watch TV that much, but it was such a good show. It was one of those that was always on Nick at Night, and they would just recycle through it over and over again. And I just probably seen every episode out of order, but it's a good show.
Yep. Okay. Scary facts.
Ooh, bring them on.
All right. Number 1. Some of the oldest Jewish cemeteries, especially in Europe, have eerie legends. In Prague, the old Jewish cemetery is known for its layered graves, where bodies were buried on top of each other due to space constraints, up to 12 layers deep. Visitors have reported strange occurrences, from shadowy figures to the feeling of being watched. 12 layers deep, 12 bodies on. I wonder how much space is between each layer?
I mean, so are they like coffins on top? Or is it just like a mass grave?
I'm not positive.
Okay. Because I know like in St. Augustine, and I'm sure many other places, I just know the history here, you have the cemeteries that are famous for their mass graves, where they just would pile as many bodies as they could because people were dying from yellow fever. So you just had all these unidentified bodies piling up. So they would just pile them all into this mass grave. And then when it was full, they would bury it. And if they happen to know the last person that they put on top, if they happen to know their name, then maybe they got a headstone.
Oh, well, that's interesting. It says the old Jewish cemetery. I'd have to look into how old this cemetery is.
Okay.
Also, some Jewish traditions hold that ghosts are more active on Shabbat. This belief is rooted in the idea that the spiritual and physical worlds are closer on this day. In some communities, people avoid going near cemeteries or speaking about the dead on Shabbat to prevent ghostly encounters. What is Shabbat?
I was going to say, when is Shabbat?
Every Friday night. It's dinner, like Friday nights. Yes.
Okay.
At sunset on Friday. It's kind of like it's like a religious observance.
So if Halloween falls on a Friday, that's got to be like the closest you can get to the other side ever, right?
I guess, yeah.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever we want to do any of it, that's why we didn't have anything happen at the old jail, Kelly. We went on a Thursday.
That was our problem. And it wasn't Halloween.
Yeah, we got to go on a Friday. It wasn't Halloween, and it wasn't in October, and it wasn't a Friday night. All future investigations have to be done on Friday nights.
Okay, dear. Done.
Okay. Note to self.
All right. And finally, Jewish mysticism speaks of the Sefer Raziel HaMelech, the book of Raziel the angel, a mystical text said to contain forbidden knowledge about the universe, angels, and divine magic. Ooh. Legend has it that Adam received this book after being expelled from Eden. Some believe reading it without proper guidance could bring misfortune or summon spirits.
Okay.
So what is a Dybbuk?
Is it a Dybbuk?
It's a Dybbuk. In short,
it's a Dybbuk?
It's a Dybbuk.
Perfect. That's what I figured.
The Dybbuk box is linked to a much older legend in Jewish folklore, that of the Dybbuk, a restless and malevolent spirit that does not simply haunt places, but possesses living people. The word Dybbuk comes from the Hebrew word dalbak, meaning to cling or to attach. It is said that when a soul cannot find peace in the afterlife, it may return to the physical world, latching on to a living person in an attempt to resolve unfinished business.
Oh,
yeah. The concepts of the Dybbuk originates from Kabbalistic teachings, particularly those from the 16th and 17th centuries, when Jewish mystics believed that the soul's journey was not always a straight path. If a person died with unconfessed sins or unfulfilled obligations, their soul could become trapped between worlds. Instead of moving on, these lost souls could enter the bodies of the living, causing mental, emotional, or even physical distress.
Oh, well, that doesn't sound good.
Not at all. Rabbis who specialize in mysticism and exorcism rituals were sometimes called upon to remove Dybbuks from the possessed. These rituals involved prayers, the use of specific Hebrew incantations, and sometimes even trapping the Dybbuk inside an object to prevent it from possessing someone else.
Such as?
A box.
A box. Starting to understand where Dybbuk boxes come from.
Jewish texts and folklore contain stories of people afflicted by Dybbuks. Symptoms of possession were said to include uncontrollable shaking or convulsions. Sounds like an orgasm.
I was thinking seizure, but okay.
That could have, I like to go fun. I like to have fun, is all I'm saying. I don't know about you. I like to have fun. Speaking in languages they've never learned, which, like speaking in tongues, is pretty common in a Christian faith, right? But they don't.
Now, is it an actual language, though, or is it
true? Because
gibberish?
It says speaking in languages they've never learned. In like the Christian faith, when people speak in tongues, they speak an unknown language. So
exactly. Unknown languages, as in they're making it up. Whereas if like someone started randomly speaking like Latin and they didn't know Latin, be impressed. Like that would be
I'd be impressed.
Yeah, I'd be pretty impressed. I'd be like, you're possessed by a demon.
There have been people who have had head trauma that upon, I don't know if they were in a coma or what, they've come out of it. Some people have had an accent that they never had before. One woman, I think she's from the U.S., she woke up with a heavy Chinese accent after head trauma.
But has anyone woken up and able to speak a different language that they couldn't speak before and didn't have knowledge of before?
I have
How
no
does that
idea.
happen? like I get the accent. We all hear accents every day. So your brain can switch something off, whatever. But like my brain doesn't know another language.
That's what's fascinating about it.
It's never full. I mean, I guess I could speak like bits and pieces. Like at one point in time, I knew some amount of Spanish because I did pass Spanish too. Probably barely, but I did.
I think
but to just be completely fluent out of nowhere, I'd like to look into the psychology of
that.
But
like if we're going podcast lines, like if we're talking, it's possible to maybe jump timelines or be in a different dimension, or maybe it's possible that our brains in some way are exposed to other languages. We're just not conscious of it, maybe.
Yeah, I get that. I'd like to know what the scientific explanation of it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure they know.
Yeah. There has to be scientific theories, though.
Right.
That probably aren't like you jump timelines.
We'll look it up, which we'll forget we said this. And then when Jen edits it and then I listen to it.
And then we probably still won't look it up.
I'm going to write it down.
Do it.
Okay.
Bring it back on the next episode. That's how we're going to start the next episode. We're telling you now. So hold us to it. If we don't, because we both have ADHD and we'll probably forget, call us out.
I literally just wrote brain speak another language, and I'm going to look at that later and go, the fuck does that mean?
What was I talking about?
Okay. Other symptoms or signs would be sudden personality changes.
Oh, okay.
Knowledge of secrets that they should not have known, which is kind of goes along with like the language thing, right?
Yeah. Jumping timelines, different. That's where I feel like it's something like a different dimension or a different like timeline life, because maybe yourself in another dimension knew that secret, whereas yourself in this dimension didn't.
Well, this last one has me a little concerned because I think I might be possessed by Dybbuk, because it's an extreme aversion to religious texts or prayers.
Yeah, that's just a symbol of being possessed in general, and I think we both have that.
All right.
We might have a minor possession.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Some cases describe exorcisms performed by renowned rabbis who would command the Dybbuk to leave the body and either return to the spirit world or be sealed inside a physical object. This is where the connection to the Dybbuk Box legend comes in. If the folklore is true, then the box may have been used as a vessel to trap a Dybbuk, preventing it from causing harm.
Okay.
For centuries, the Dybbuk was largely a mystical concept discussed among Jewish scholars and rabbis. It wasn't until the early 20th century that the story entered popular culture. In 1914, a Yiddish play called The Dybbuk was written by S. Ansky, telling the story of a young woman possessed by a wandering soul. The play became so famous, it was later adapted into films, spreading the idea of Dybbuk possession beyond Jewish communities.
I want to go see that play. That sounds interesting.
I don't know if they still do it because it was 1914, but I would be interesting to find it if we could.
I'm sure like somebody somewhere has done it recently. Like people, theater troupes.
Okay,
all
you
over the
write
country
that down
like,
and you look it up.
I won't. I'm not even going to pretend to write it down.
No? Okay.
No.
I can show you. I wrote at the top, brain speak another language.
I believe you. I'm going to instead call on our 13 listeners and say, hey, go look this up for us and get back to us. We want a full report in our inbox.
Yeah. All 13 of you.
Yeah. All 13 of you. notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com. Look it up.
Get it in.
And give us a report.
Yep.
Thanks. We'll read it on the next episode as soon as you send it to us.
We will.
And you know what? If you are a new listener and are listening to this episode after we're like 200 episodes in, still send it to us because no one probably did. So don't think that you can't do it.
That's right. And if it's the 200th episode, there's enough time has gone by between the original 13 doing it that maybe nobody found anything. And then maybe it was done after that. Just everybody do it.
Or we had someone actually do it and send it to us. And if we're on like 200, 300 episodes, we forgot because ADHD. Right. So we're going to get your story in our inbox and we're going to be like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
We don't remember asking for this, but thank you.
So the legend took on a new life in the 21st century when the story of the Dybbuk Box emerged. While no direct historical connection exists between ancient Dybbuk possessions and the wine cabinet that surfaced in 2001, the roots of the legend go back centuries, drawing from real religious beliefs and spirits and the afterlife.
As far as haunted objects go, I'm pretty okay with a haunted wine cabinet.
Yeah.
Personally.
Spirits in your spirits. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. So technically wine's not a spirit. It's not liquor. But I see what you were trying to do there.
Okay.
And I appreciate it.
I'm glad. I'm glad you're not going to get too pedantic about it. Because that sounds like something I would do, and I'm kind of annoying.
I don't know what that word means. Are you channeling Katrona right now with all your big words?
Maybe. Look it up.
I won't.
Everybody write in and tell Jen what pedantic means.
Yeah, please. Send us an email about that too.
If we take Jewish folklore at face value, the Dybbuk Box could be an attempt to trap the lost soul that had no other way to pass on. Or it could simply be a modern fabrication inspired by real Kabbalistic traditions and ghost stories. So you want to hear the story of the Dybbuk Box?
I do.
Okay. In 2003, an antique dealer named Kevin Mannis purchased a simple wine cabinet at an estate sale in Portland, Oregon. Unbeknownst to him, this unassuming item would soon become infamous as the Dybbuk Box, allegedly haunted by a malevolent spirit from Jewish folklore. After acquiring the cabinet, Mannis experienced a series of unsettling events, including strange odors, disturbing nightmares, and inexplicable occurrences. Seeking to sell the item, he listed it on eBay, crafting a detailed story that the box contained a Dybbuk, a restless, malicious spirit capable of possessing the living.
So I just want to interrupt real quick because I think it's really weird that I was doing research today for another episode, and in that episode, there was a haunted item that was sold on eBay, and then another maybe haunted item that is in Zak Bagans' museum in Las Vegas. So I just think it's really funny that I was doing that research today, and that I'm listening to this episode, and they had those two similarities.
Yeah, that's interesting. Mannis claimed that the box had been owned by a Holocaust survivor who had sealed the Dybbuk inside to contain its evil. The listing described how subsequent owners experienced misfortune and paranormal activity upon coming in contact with the box. The eBay listing attracted significant attention, and the box changed hands multiple times, with each new owner reporting similar eerie experiences. One such owner, Jason Haxton, the director of the Museum of Osteopathic Medicine in Missouri, acquired the box and chronicled his experiences in a book titled The Dybbuk Box. But we'll get a little bit more into his experiences later.
Okay.
The chilling tales surrounding the Dybbuk Box inspired the 2012 horror film The Possession, produced by Sam Raimi. The movie dramatized the alleged events, bringing the legend to a wider audience and cementing the box's place in contemporary horror culture.
Have you seen that movie?
I have not, but I think I need to now.
I haven't either. You know how I feel about demonic possessions. I can't watch those movies alone.
We'll watch it when you come, if we have time.
Yeah.
Maybe because we're going to Paracon and we'll probably have like some time just like chilling in the hotel room at night.
In the evenings. Yeah. You can watch it there. Yeah. And if you have any other scary movie recommendations for us to watch while we are at Paracon, go ahead and email us. We really want you to email us. Can you tell that our inbox is lonely?
It is. It's so lonely.
It is so lonely. We just need more emails. Make us feel like we're slightly more popular than we are. Please.
Please.
Katrona and Birdie, you guys are doing a great job.
You're doing all the heavy lifting here.
You guys, it's been a hot minute since we got a story. I mean, I think you're slacking off a little bit, guys.
Give us more.
More stories.
In 2021, nearly 2 decades after the original eBay listing, Kevin Mannis admitted the entire story was a fabrication.
What?
In an interview with Input magazine, he stated, "I am a creative writer. The Dybbuk Box is a story that I created." Mannis revealed that he had crafted the tale as an interactive horror story, never anticipating the widespread belief and fear it would generate.
What a douchebag.
I understand the concept of him doing this as an experiment as a creative writer. However, writing that the original owner was a Holocaust survivor and that it trapped an evil Jewish spirit or whatever inside of it, none of this sat right with me. And I actually considered not doing this episode because of it in light of what's going on in the world today too.
Yeah. But also the thing, yes, that is absolutely horrible. But then he sold it under the guise of being a haunted object, which is misrepresenting things.
Right. But he had to put on there that it was for entertainment purposes only. And
right. That's a legality thing on all.
And that's how he got away with it. But I just want to go on record as saying that we all know the Holocaust was a terrible, disgusting time in history. And I'm not a big fan of him using this in this way.
No, absolutely not. It's also good to make people aware because I didn't know it until you said it, that this was a hoax.
Yeah.
And it is still being advertised today in a museum as not a hoax.
Right.
So that's kind of, you're doing that justice to let people know the awful thing this person did.
With all of that said, if it was a hoax, which he said it was, how does that explain the experiences others have had with the box? Does believing an item is cursed actually bring the curse to light? Now, we have talked about this before in a Valentine's Day episode, but we're going to get into some of the stuff that happened after Mannis.
Well, I wholeheartely believe that Ellen is haunted, and she has not done anything since you left. So just throwing that out there. Ellen, if you're listening, well, at least she hasn't done anything that I've noticed. She's probably like, I'm making all kinds of noise, Jen, but you just don't hear it because you live in an apartment and think it's your neighbors.
Yeah, or you're in the bathroom and she's dancing around in the living room or something.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not paying attention. Yeah.
It's been quiet here too.
Yeah.
But I did put some house rules into effect, particularly when I am recording.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I have no rules as far as that. My only rule is don't bother me when I'm sleeping.
Okay. After Mannis, the Dybbuk Box changed hands multiple times, each time leaving a trail of misfortune behind. And as we were talking before about Jason Haxton, the museum curator in Missouri, he purchased the box and immediately began experiencing a series of terrifying events. He developed breathing problems and sudden rashes with no medical explanation. Objects in his home moved on their own. Strange shadows and figures appeared in his peripheral vision, but when he turned to look, nothing was there. He even claimed to have been physically attacked by an unseen force in his sleep. That kind of sounds like sleep paralysis, that last one to me. But
yeah, probably.
So Haxton became so disturbed by the box's presence that he sought out spiritual guidance and ultimately decided to seal the Dybbuk Box in a custom-made wooden container, hoping to contain whatever force was inside.
So I'm wondering if there was so much belief around this object being haunted, if it created a haunting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, that you speak so much bad about something, does that not carry some kind of spiritual weight in and of itself?
Yeah, I mean, there's more. Like, I know I've heard Two Girls, One Ghost talk about it before, where I think it's Greg and Dana Newkirk who have a haunted object museum type thing. Not Zak Bagans Museum, like something else. They do like traveling shows where they actually have another object that they try to have their audience basically put energy into from every show to try to see if they can create a haunting.
That's interesting.
And apparently they've said it's worked in certain things. And there's like other documented cases about people doing stuff like that, like trying to summon a spirit that they just made up based on belief. And supposedly it's a thing.
Huh. That's interesting. We're going to talk about Zak Bagans now.
Oh, yay. I'm so excited.
By the way, I don't know if any of our listeners watch Ghost Adventures. I have to say recently, Aaron from Ghost Adventures, his wife hired a hitman to kill him. And that is insanity. And I read that Aaron found out when he was filming, and he was quoted as saying he thought he was in a happy marriage. And my heart breaks for him.
Oh,
what a terrible, terrible thing to happen. So
I thought that shit only happened in movies.
Right. But Aaron, if you're listening, and we know that you are,
of course,
you have all of our love and all of our support.
Yes.
In 2016, paranormal investigator Zak Bagans acquired the Dybbuk Box for his haunted museum in Las Vegas, a place known for its collection of allegedly cursed and haunted artifacts. Despite being a seasoned ghost hunter, Bagans had one of the most terrifying experiences of his career after opening the box. Which, if you know anything about Zak Bagans, every experience that he has is the most terrifying experience he's ever had.
The most terrifying.
He reported feeling an immediate, overwhelming sense of dread. He became physically ill shortly after handling the box. The room housing the box has been described as one of the most active locations in the museum.
I didn't have anything happen to me.
With visitors reporting intense nausea, dizziness, and even fainting.
Didn't happen.
One of the most infamous incidents happened when Post Malone, the rapper and singer, visited the museum. Bagans removed the Dybbuk Box's protective covering while Post Malone was in the room. Shortly after, Post Malone experienced a string of terrifying misfortunes. His private jet suffered a near-fatal emergency landing. His home was broken into. And
now, hold on. If that happened in 2025, I'd be like, oh, it's just par for the course. That's just what's happening right now. Planes crashing.
Right.
But it wasn't 2025, so
no.
Little weird.
And he was involved in a serious car accident, all within weeks of being near the box.
Yeah, that's weird.
So we have skeptics and we have believers. The Dybbuk Box has been a subject of fear, fascination, and controversy since its emergence in the early 2000s. Many believe it to be one of the most haunted objects in existence, while others argue there's nothing more than a well-crafted hoax fueled by superstition and viral storytelling. So what's the truth? Let's look at the arguments on both sides.
Okay.
The believers. Those who believe in the Dybbuk Box supernatural powers point to a long history of disturbing events associated with it. Multiple owners, same hauntings. Each person who owned or interacted with the box has reported eerily similar experiences, horrific nightmares, unexplained illness, and misfortune that follows them long after the box is out of their possession.
I wonder if there's something like on the box that makes people sick, like lead. I mean, not saying it's lead, but something like lead that would make people that are around it sick, and no one's just ever tested it.
Could be.
And then the nightmares could just come from the fact that you're owning this box that's supposed to be so haunted.
I thought you're
just scaring yourself into it.
I thought you were going to say, I wonder if there's anything on the box that says, like, warning, you could experience horrific nightmares, unexplained illness, and misfortune that follows. And then people were reading it and being like, holy shit.
There should be a warning written on the box.
There's also Post Malone's alleged curse, what we just talked about. The string of bad luck he experienced after coming in contact with the Dybbuk box is one of the strongest modern cases for its authenticity. The concept of the Dybbuk has existed for centuries. Kabbalistic teachings warn about spirits trapped between the worlds, and some rabbis have even performed exorcisms to remove it, as we've said. Could it be possible that the Dybbuk box was created to contain something real?
Hold on, question real quick.
Yeah.
The original owner, the person who did the eBay and said creative writing, blah, hoax, whatever, where did they get the item? And did the item come with any history at that point?
I'm not sure.
Because is it possible that the owner got the item with, because again, you went into the history of Dybbuks and how they were contained into items and things like that. So is it possible that this owner, like this person, inherited this item and was always told like, oh, it contains, this evil spirit, but maybe they just didn't experience anything?
All he says is that he purchased it at an estate sale in Portland, Oregon. That's what we have. That's the information
so there probably wasn't a ton of information that was given to it.
Right.
So maybe there was just plain devil's advocate here. Maybe he didn't experience anything, but subconsciously something was giving him the information to write his creative story.
Maybe. There's also, for the believers, the unexplained paranormal activity that comes with it. Visitors to Zak Bagans Haunted Museum, all that they report feeling dread, nausea, dizziness when near the Dybbuk box. Investigators have also captured strange anomalies, shadows, and even voices in its presence. Voices would be interesting, I think.
Yeah.
So for believers, the evidence is clear that Dybbuk box is not just a legend. It's a dangerous supernatural artifact that should have never been disturbed. Now we're going to go to the skeptics.
Okay.
While the Dybbuk box has terrified many, the skeptics argue that the entire story is one elaborate fabrication carefully crafted to fuel fear and intrigue. In 2021, Manis, the original seller of it, did admit that he made the story up. And he did describe it as an interactive horror story that spiraled out of control when people believed it was real. This one kind of made me laugh. There's no record of Dybbuks being trapped in physical objects in Jewish tradition. The idea of a spirit being sealed in a wine cabinet is not part of authentic Jewish mysticism. And that was listed as no historical evidence. And it just made me laugh.
Because didn't you find historical evidence that said otherwise?
Well, it's just like the folklore that's been passed down and passed down. Yeah. It's not necessarily, when you're talking about the paranormal so often, I don't know how much historical evidence of any of this that we have. So it kind of made that kind of like, I guess that would be every skeptic's. And listen, I fall into that a lot with a lot of things myself. But
a lot of things, yeah.
I was like, yeah, of course there wasn't when I read that. But there's the psychological influence and suggestion. Many of the reported paranormal experiences could be caused by the power of belief. If someone hears that an object is cursed, they might unconsciously create their own fear responses, seeing things, feeling anxious, or even getting sick.
Yeah, and we're actually going to go into just a little bit more of the psychology behind it in a future episode. Okay. Actually, I think probably next week's episode, on the episode that I'm doing next week, because I'm researching it right now. So no, I think it's not next week's, it's a couple weeks. A couple weeks from now, we'll go into some more of the psychology behind cursed objects and people's fear behind them.
And then there is the profitable horror sensation angle. The Dybbuk box's rise to fame coincided with the boom of internet horror stories and paranormal entertainment. Some argue it became a modern creepypasta, growing more elaborate as people added their own encounters. So skeptics believe that while the stories are chilling, the Dybbuk box is nothing more than a psychological experiment that proves how powerful belief can be. So who's right?
Yeah.
Like any great paranormal mystery, the truth behind the Dybbuk Box depends on what you choose to believe. Is it a real haunted object carrying a malevolent entity that seeks to harm anyone who dares open it? Or is it a brilliantly crafted urban legend proving that fear itself can be the most powerful force of all? I don't know where I fall in that.
Well, let me ask you this. If the Dybbuk Box was sitting in a sealed case right in front of you right now, would you open it?
Yes. No hesitation.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't want to say no hesitation. I would definitely slightly hesitate, but I definitely would do it. Because you know me and demons. Demons freak me out a little bit, Kelly. But I would ultimately I have enough skepticism about it that I would do it. And I'm also just so eager for something to haunt me that at this point, I'm just like, give me whatever you got. If this is supposedly the most haunted object in the world, like let's test it out.
Let's do it.
Zach, are you listening? Invite us to your museum, Zach.
We probably should be nicer to him.
Yeah, probably. We're not very nice.
Zach, if you're listening, and we know that you are, let us be. Let us have the most terrifying, because it's going to be a lot harder for me to admit it was the most terrifying experience of my life. Because I don't literally admit that on TV every week for years on end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I have a Dybbuk Box story that I found on Reddit.
Okay.
The Reddit user's name is Pokemon_Yo.
Ooh, I like that name.
And they said, a family member bought this object at an antiques store. She looked at it and walked about 20 feet away from it, but was drawn back to the object, looked at it closer. It was a great price and decided to buy it.
It's a great price. The best price.
After bringing it home today, it sat in the garage for a few hours. Later on, she went outside to clean it and wash it out and brought it inside the home, into a room near the kitchen, and left the object there on the table. She took several photos of the object on the table, then immediately went to the kitchen to clean the dishes. While cleaning the dishes, she felt an intense force rushing up on her to grab her.
Ooh.
She felt the actual pressure on her left side from the disembodied voice coming up to her, and heard something make a sound in her left ear.
Oh, no.
She said she can't remember the exact sound, but when she originally told me, it was almost like a negative, ah. It wasn't a high-pitched yell or anything, like a medium-range sound. It made her jump, and it made her let out a loud shrieking sound. It was an intense, immediate feeling of panic. The feeling went away only after telling any negative spirits and energies to leave, and that they were not welcome here, saying it out loud several times in the garage and inside the house, while placing a Bible on the object and holding a cross. At first, when it happened, she thought someone else was playing a trick on her in the house. The feeling of a male figure, she actually thought it was her husband coming up on her to mess with her. But there was no one around. The closest person was in the bathroom quite a distance away, and another person was on a separate floor of the house. After hearing the shrieking, yelling sound, she made the family member in the basement quickly come into the kitchen and ask what happened. It all happened very quickly, around 5:40 p.m. local time. This is not the first time an object has been purchased, brought home, and very strange things start happening. For example, an antique wood clock that was purchased in another state was a clock that would hang on the wall and had a very solid latch that would keep it closed. We would come down in the morning and the clock would be completely open as if someone moved the latch over and opened it up. Sometimes the TV would be turned on as well. You could even hear people yelling out your name as if someone was calling for you, but no one was actually calling for you. After getting rid of that clock, those issues completely stopped. Today's example was the most negative feeling of all. But again, things felt much better after telling it to leave and that it was not welcome here. Other experiences did not feel negative, maybe playful or trickster, but nothing negative. However, the name calling out has somewhat persisted or continued on, but it's still very infrequent on and off. I'm not a fan of hearing my name yelled out. Nobody else is there.
No, me neither.
And then they state, while writing the story, there were several electronic glitches that I wasn't able to write it out. They were writing it on Notepad and it wouldn't scroll up. It would
Weird.
Yeah. Then they say maybe it's nothing to do with that, but it's just a software issue, but who knows? Now, this isn't necessarily a Dybbuk box, but it is somebody that buys things frequently from antique stores that seems to have multiple different experiences, whether being negative or playful or kind of neutral.
Yeah, very interesting.
I have bought a couple things from an antique store, but I have not noticed anything.
My little owl behind me came from Goodwill.
That's not an antique store.
Yeah, but it's still other people's shit.
It is cute, though.
It is really cute, isn't it?
An antique store is just overpriced other people's shit.
I didn't say overpriced. I just said other people's shit. There was a doll at Goodwill that gave me some creepy vibes. I almost bought it.
Oh, hold on one second.
But I didn't.
I got this. This is Crystal.
Hi, Crystal.
And I got her at an antiques mall.
Oh,
and
okay.
I walked away and I kept getting drawn back to her. I don't know what it was about her.
Yeah.
But she plays music.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes I hear the music go off, but it could just be that's interesting. I do have in our house, my mother got me
well, that's cursed.
Yeah. It's like when Nick and I got married, it's like a bride and groom music box. And when you twist it, it plays like, I don't know, the wedding march or something. And for the longest time at our old house, that would go off all the time. Constantly, you would hear that playing in the house. Has not gone off once since we moved here.
Oh, okay. I was going to say your mother cursed it, but maybe it was just the ghost.
I think that's interesting that it was something. It seems like something was messing with it at the old house. But that brings us to the end of this episode about the Dybbuk Box.
Well, if you loved what you heard, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen, because that really helps us out. Give us 5 stars.
Yes.
Tell us how funny we are.
Leave comments.
And do all of the above. Please and thank you.
Yes. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Not My Ghost Podcast and on Facebook at Not My Ghost, Not My Problem. We post updates, photos, and more.
And if you have ever had any type of paranormal encounter with the Dybbuk box or any other object, or really honestly any paranormal encounter, we're not picky, please email to us at notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com, because we want to hear about it. As we said earlier, our inbox is very lonely. So please send us all of the things. And if you want even more content from us, consider joining our Patreon, where you can find the link in our bio. And it's going to be in the show. The link is in the show notes. So you don't even have to go to our social medias. You can just go right into the show notes. And you can go on and donate some money to us every month and get all kinds of extra spooky content from us.
And it's www.patreon.com/notmyghostnotmyproblem. That's how you find us.
Perfect. I didn't even know that.
Thank you for joining us on this interesting exploration of a Dybbuk box.
It's a good word for it.
Yeah, interesting, because you don't really know. Is it terrifying or is it?
We don't know.
A hoax? We don't really know. Remember, the next time you bring home an object from an antique store, keep this in mind.
If it's not your Dybbuk box,
it's not your problem.
Until next time, stay spooky.
And stay skeptical.